thing, your last drop has nothing to do with this one. Merry Christmas, Mercenary. Alright. So let's start taking a look at these banners. And I'll open my website, which I'll, as soon as stream ends, I will update the living crap out of my website. So this is more for educational purposes, checking out what Japan's banner was like, and how thankful you should be that you're playing on the global client instead of the Japanese. So they improved our banners. They did. Japan's banners only had 5 6-stars on it, which is the same banner format that a lot of the events around the same time had. But the difference between these and the event banners was these had something, you know, they only had 12 relics on them, and but still a 14% chance to pull a 5-star or better. And they had this little weird 2% chance to pull any relic of any character that was on the banner. And that was kind of neat and all, because it was the same format, so it had 5 6-stars on it. And those all had the same chance, those didn't matter. But it wasn't that much better. So you had a slightly better chance of pulling a 6-star than normal banners because of that 2% weird pull, because all the characters' 6-stars were a part of that. This is just straight up an improvement because now we have 6 6-stars. It takes up a full percent of that pool, and gives us a 6-star instead. And I think on most of the banners, basically every banner, the other 1% is an LMR, which is good too, because LMRs are, is what makes characters better than they can be, usually. Like on first banner, for instance, rather than that 2% weird pull, they added on Tyro's USB and Tyro's LMR, both, much better than that 2% pool would have been. So that was just a straight up improvement. So let's talk about the first banner and what actually ended up happening here. We got an Onion Knight, Tyro, Ishtola, and Cloud themed banner. Yep, everybody on here. Onion Knight's arcane. It's just like every other arcane in the game, except it's 4 elements. So it's exactly like Bart's, but instead of those 4 elements being physical damage, it's the same 4 elements, fire, earth, wind, and water. Magical damage, because he's very magey now with his USB. Though, obviously, he still makes a great physical team character with his physical USB. But let's turn that music down. And that's plus water armor as well. Water hat. That's just an awesome pull. Next up, Ishtola's USB 2. This is finally Ishtola gets a real relic. It's been a very long time. 2 years. It's been 2 years. On December 31st, 2016, there was a festival banner. No, not a festival banner. A Final Fantasy XIV banner that had Ishtola's BSB on it. And that was the last time Ishtola got anything good. She's back! She's back, and she does have a very good USB 2. It's an instant Kiraga Medica, magical quick cast 3 to the entire party. It's the same status that Ununite's or magical USB gives. And then, besides those two things, it is a Brave mode. And it's actually a pretty good Brave mode, since the Brave changes that that we got recently. Because you start at Brave level 2. Brave 0, instant Cura, whatever. Brave 1, instant basic Medica. This is the command Medica you see on a lot of bursts. Brave 2, and this is what the Brave mode starts out at, if you want to use the Brave command, which would be an instant Cura Medica. Just in her hands, what, about a 3,800 heal instantaneously, but obviously what you want to do is cast the USB, and then use a Curata or some white magic ability. So you move up to Brave 3 because it's an instant Cura Medica and last stand of the party. That's pretty great. So, because of what happens to the Brave mode, changes that happened recently, what you're going to want to do with Y'shtola is kind of run her in a very similar way you would run Aerith's USB 2, which would be cast it, you get the magical quick cast 3 to party, 1 turn, use Curata to move up to Brave 3, on second turn, use the Brave command, and then on the turn after that, you ideally want to recast the USB 2 at that point. For 2 reasons. 1, it refreshes your Brave charges. And 2, it refreshes Magical Quick Cast 3 to the party. To make sure that Magical Quick Cast stays active at all times. I should get rid of these. They're kind of distracting while I'm trying to do this. So that's actually a really good USB. It's not only good inside the Torment, where you have mages like Papalymo and Alphino to take advantage of the magical quick cast, but it's also very good outside as well for mage teams, because you have a magical quick cast 3 to give to party, on an instant Curaga Medica, and a Brave command to give last stand of the party. It's a really well-packed USB for a magical team. Next, we have, in addition to the banner that wasn't there for Japan, some shuffling happened. Tyro's USB 4, and I'm actually a personal fan of this. I know a lot of people are unhappy that it was separated from Alara's USB 2, but I think it works just fine by itself, even though it does combo well with Alara's USB 2. What Tyro's USB 4 is actually quite awesome if you kind of understand where it's coming from. It's kind of a side grade to Alara in Magic Magicites. Alara is someone who heals better overall, but doesn't have last stand. So if you can keep the party alive with Alara, you're running with high quick cast on the entire party, as well as basically healing better. But Alara, because her high quick cast is limited to 2 turns instead of 3, she requires more soul break points to keep active. So it really depends on the team that you're running. I wouldn't mind having both, because there's different ways to run teams, and there's different optimal ways to run teams depending on what's made up of them. Anyway, Tyro's USB 4. So what Tyro does is critical chance 50% and haste the entire party. As soon as I saw Tyro's USB 3 and saw Generation 2 chains, I said, man, these things are really meant to work with each other, aren't they? Tyro's USB 3 gives haste, protect, shell, and wall to the entire party. All it's missing is a buff. Then you have Generation 2 chains, which are 50% buff, but no haste or anything else. So they're made to work with each other. The only problem with that like whole combo is that there are 3 RWs available in Magicites, which is what Tyro is used in. And that's Wall, a Medica, and Raider, which is haste, attack, and magic 30% to the entire party. Out of those 3, Wall is easily the most powerful as far as the effect that it gives. So by using Tyro's USB 3, I never really liked it that much because I felt like though his USB 3 is powerful, I was sacrificing the strongest RW in order to use it. So it reduced the power of it somewhat because it was replacing something that was already powerful. So Tyro USB 4 is an answer to my prayers. Because what Tyro USB 4 allows you to do is use the buff that you're getting from the Generation 2 chain, but not conflict with the most powerful RW, which is Wall. So you use Generation 2 chain, and then Tyro's USB 4 to grant critical chance 50% haste to the entire party. There's no conflict anywhere here. And on top of that, it's even better in a way. Well, not in a way, but go away. Hold on, I'm gonna turn on my ad blocker. There we go. It's really distracting. Because not only does he get the critical chance 50% haste in the entire party, but he gets him just high quick cast for 15 seconds. And a status called Judge's Apocrypha. And Judge's Apocrypha is a stacking buff of increased critical chance depending on how many support abilities he uses. So it changes. It doesn't stack. But it does stack, but whatever. Every support ability that you use increases this 50% by 10. So if you use Tyro as a Entrust bot, all you need to do is take 5 actions, which is really easy with high quick cast on, especially if he's getting, quick cast from elsewhere in the party. All you got to do is just keep on using support abilities like Wrath and Entrust, and all of a sudden, the entire party has 100% crit chance, which is a 50% damage buff. Which is awesome. It's really just an incredible damage increase. And really goes together well with the Generation 1.5 chain, Zac. I just was thinking about this because Earth Magicite are going to be coming within the next couple months. Zac's Generation 2 sort of chain grants 50% critical damage. So this critical buff giving everybody 100% crit chance is just even better. But this works really well with any Generation 2 chain because it has a buff on it, and any party buff that doesn't have any sort of haste attached. Dorgon BSB, like it turns kind of offhand things that wouldn't normally be all like super powerful, like Dorgon's BSB and Garnet's BSB2, into really powerful. Not Garnet's BSB2 because it's magical, but Dorgon's BSB into like really powerful things because of this. Anyway, I really like Tyro's USB 4. And even if you wanted to run Tyro as a different kind of character, like alternating a different ability, like say for Sildra, and I'm speaking from my personal plans if I pull Tyro's USB 4, is I would use Tyro as a machinist, bring him into Sildra, and have him alternate a Imperil Ice Machinist offering and Entrust to give someone else Soul Break points. And still using Entrust is going to increase Judge's Apocrypha. I really like that. Next up, well, I already went over Ishtol's USB 2. Cloud's Arcane, next. Really, really good. Obviously. Don't really need to talk about that much. I think everybody knows pretty much what that does. "20 attacks and a single overflow, and it's a wind sword." That ain't new. Onion Knight's USB 3 isn't new, but it just debuted in the last festival. Maybe not a lot of people know about it, and it's a Bart's USB 1 copy, just like his Arcane is a copy of Bart's Arcane, except it's magical instead. Let's see. Wind, Water, Fire, Earth. ×2 cast speed, and a Wind, Water, Fire, Earth chase. 5 single target. This is where it kind of deviates a little bit. Is that Bart's has a variable chase that can do either 2 or 8 hits, while Onion is just straight 5 every single time. And here's the addition to the banner that wasn't here for Japan. This is our 6th 6-star, and that's Tyro's USB 3. And I already talked about what Tyro's USB 3 does. Which is haste, protect, shell, and wall to the entire party. Still gonna have use. Even, you know, it sounded like I was talking trash about it, but it's still good because there are times when you are going to want to use the other 2 RWs. Fabulator or the heal. Fabulator in particular is a good one for a lot of fights because there are a lot of bosses that remove your haste. So having additional forms of haste, especially one that is not character dependent, is actually pretty damn useful. Personally, I use Fabulator in the Mana Core, my Mana Core run, because Mana Core removes your haste at least once in the battle. And the ability to use an RW to reapply haste is really nice in the fight. So you're not locked into a single character that can cast it, because it kind of creates some flexibility in the way you run the team. Because, you know, you can get caught with somebody, you know, not having any ATB and just being like, okay, we're not going to have haste for another, like, 5 seconds, so run's over. Everyone's going to die. So there are times when that RW becomes pretty powerful, and that makes one of the particular times when Tyro's USB 3 becomes pretty good. Well, Mana Core is kind of a bad example, because Mana Core is basically all piercing attacks and walls isn't that useful there anyway. But it's still, there's a lot of fights that remove your haste, so. Okay. Now we got 4 glints on the banner. Onion Knights. Which is an instant weakness 30% boost, which is really nice for Onion Knight. And high quick cast too. That's really good. The weakness 30% boost gives Onion Knight an actual damage boost because he doesn't have an element. And this is going to work for both physical and magical varieties. I know a lot of people don't use him as a physical character, but I do. So, take that. I like the celerity abilities on him. I think he's a pretty good celerity character. But it's mostly going to be to use him as a mage. And there's a lot of times that you can just end up with a lot of soul break points on Onion Knight and nothing to do with them. That's why I like to run Onion Knight a lot with Entrust. But if I had Onion Knight's Glint, I'd feel a lot more comfortable about not running Onion Knight with Entrust, because I'd have better uses for using his soul break points over the course of a fight. And this would be a great one. Next up. go over these two and then move over to Banner 1 and look at Tyro's Glint. But Ishtola's... sorry. Ishtola's Glint, instant shell, haste, and high regen to the party. That's really good. Because that is a cheap 250 soul break point way to reapply haste and shell after getting a party dispel. Which, in my opinion, is a really, really valuable thing. To have both of those packed in a single soul break, or a single action that's actually pretty cheap. And the high regen is pretty good too. Because that's a great way to wipe out, you know, saps and stuff. Which is kind of an issue because Y'shtola does have a last stand now on her USB 2. So being able to wipe out sap and poison is a pretty useful thing for Y'shtola to have. You don't want to be casting her super soul break to her slow, you know, it's probably like a 3-second cast time, super soul break to get rid of, you know, saps and poisons and apply shell. This is just a really neat tool for her to have to conquer some of the quirks that some bosses have. So I personally like this glint a lot. Next, Cloud's Glint. It's one of the typical combat, or not combat, just damage character glints, which is 6 attacks, instantaneous, and wind, and wind stacking. Particularly awesome on Cloud because of his disobedience of damage caps with his USB 1. So his ability to add damage rather than add attacks is really powerful. Alright. Now we'll go take a look at Tyro's Glint. Instant 200 or 2000 HP heal and Asuna to the party. This is a step below the other 3 glints. It's something. I'm personally not that big of a fan of Asuna effects. I'm trying to think about where this could be useful. It could save runs that would otherwise be killed by stuff like Belias's Berserk. I'm not gonna say Geoskyno's Petrify because that's a Petrify and everyone loses their buffs and they're just gonna die anyway. I suppose Quetzalcoatl's Paralyze allows you not to have to bring Ultra Cure, even though I'd prefer to use Ultra Cure over this. Because this is soul break points for an Asuna to the entire party. Which is 2000 HP heal, it's not bad, but I'd much prefer it was 2000 HP stock. Because this is probably going to overheal a lot. And I don't really like the glint a lot, but oh well. So there's our 4 glints. Onion Knight, Tyro, Y'shtola, Cloud. And then we have 4 LMRs. Tyro LMR 2, and I guess I gotta talk about this one for a bit, is black magic abilities deal 25% more damage when equipping a rod. I have an issue with this LMR in that it's black magic abilities and not BLK typed abilities, or BLK typed damage. Because the fact that it's locked to abilities means that this doesn't boost the damage output of soul breaks at all. So why would I ever use this over his 35% chance to dual cast black magic? Well, of course, one obvious use of it is you don't have his LMR 1. Of course, if you don't have his LMR 1, you obviously use this. Because you don't have anything else to use instead. His other legend materia is 35% chance to dual cast Celerity. But let's say you do have the LMR. His LMR 1, the ability to grant him instant cast 2 at the start of the fight, is amazing. I can't imagine not having it anymore ever since I got it. I I can't imagine not ever using it. So it's contending with a 35% chance to dual cast, and because they do the same thing for different abilities, or not different abilities, they do the same thing for the same type of abilities, black magic abilities. Except here his dual cast is not only generally a 35% increase in damage, over the course of time as RNG, equalizes. But it also is better for chains because you have the potential to deal more attacks, and you're less obedient to a damage cap. So the 35% chance to dual cast is just better than this, straight up. So I don't like this LMR at all, except if you don't have his LMR 1, in which case, awesome. Because this is better than nothing. A lot better than nothing. 25% increased damage is awesome. Yeah. I did look into that as well. I kind of added it up. And his LMR 2 would deal more damage. But you're right, the damage cap issues and the chain building issues are still present. With his USB 3. So, I personally wouldn't ever use this if I had his LMR 1. Lightning is no longer on this banner. Cloud's LMR is 25% chance to dual cast wind abilities. Obviously really good in Cloud's hands, yes. Tyro LMR is really good. It is the exact same thing as Onion Knight's LMR 1. It grants him instant cast 2 at the start of the fight, which is really good for him. Even with his USB 4. His USB 4, I don't know if I mentioned this. Because I don't have it listed on the site. Oops. Unless I'm wrong about this. Can you get out of here? Yeah, Judge's Apocrypha is instant cast. So, if you do get Tyro's USB 4, don't feel like that you need to chase Tyro's LMR for anything. Because, I mean, think about it. You're automatically instant casting out his USB 4, and it grants him high quick cast. So, you're 3 times cast speeding the next action. So, getting his LMR isn't that much of an improvement, but it is, but yeah, you don't need it. So don't feel like that, like, if you do get this, you're like, oh man, I gotta get his LMR because, it's really good. It is really good with his USB 3, because his USB 3 is a slow caster, but just another added effect on his USB 4 is that it's instantaneous. Onion Knight LMR, I already talked about this when I talked about his LMR 2. It's awesome for both versions of Onion Knight. Yeah. it's incredibly good. It's just insane being able to use a soul break at the beginning of the fight and then instantly wall the next turn. Just, it frees up the potential of so many teams. I love this LMR so much. So, this banner... Let's count the misses. In my opinion, there's a single miss. And that would be Tyro's Glint. I don't really care for it. But even that probably has some use somewhere that I'm not thinking of. As soon as weird like that, I would prefer to stop statuses before they screw up the party. Asuna does clear poison, doesn't clear sap. Clearing poison with that could be useful in some cases. The Belias Berserk. Quetzalcoatl Paralyze. I'm sure that it'll be useful. on something. But hey, that's one loss on a what seems to be a really good banner. Now, this will be the first and only time that I offer this disclaimer, but my suggestion would be hold these banners to an extremely high standard. We have one season left until the largest power creep step up that the game has seen since the implementation of guaranteed 5-star in Awakenings in the next festival. So your Mithril is going to gain a ton of value 3 months from now, and it may be a good idea to just be a little tighter on the purse strings than you would be normally. So make sure that if you're going to pull on banners in this festival, that they're awesome for you. Like, I really like Ishola's USB 2, but I should be wary of it a little bit because I have completed the Final Fantasy XIV Torment, so it loses some of the effectiveness for me. Luckily, it is still probably pretty decent for me, somewhere outside of there, so that's still a decent pull. But the dupes and why did I forget about Onion Knights LMR too, along with Tyra's Glint as being kind of a miss on the banner. The fact that Cloud Glint and Cloud LMR are both dupes for me, and Onion Knight LMR are all dupes for me, should kind of raise some alarms that there's a lot of bad things going on in this banner for me. But luckily, all 6 stars are really good, so it's kind of tempting. But I guess I'm just saying, I'm not saying to skip the festival, because that can be crazy talk. But just make sure that the banners that you're pulling on are damn good. More damn good than they usually have to be in order for you to pull on them. Onion Knight's USB 3 is also water armor. I hadn't mentioned that. Anybody have anything else to say about this banner? What do you think about it? Oh, and thank you for the data mine, because I'm unable to pull these myself to Raska. Actually, I think it's Raxa. I always get that mixed up. It's supporty, and that's why I think it's probably one of the banners in the festival, because those awakenings, there's only damage awakenings so far. 3 months from now. So there will need to be things to support them, like, you know, healing, buffing, chains, imperils. There are still things that hold their value in the coming power creep. Pure damage, less so. Support, much more so. Yeah, that is Cloud's Arcane. Tyra's USB 4 does return. As Kevin says, on the core banner in the next festival. The core banner is a little weird. I personally will not be pulling on it, because I'm unsure of the value that core characters really have in the game. We'll know more, I suppose, as that approaches, because core characters may get their own realm synergy type things, which would make picking up stuff for Dr. Mog, Wedge, and Biggs pretty good. I can go into that. I will go into that. That's a good idea. I think that's important for everybody to know when they're making decisions on pulling on this banner, or this festival. So I'm going to skip ahead 3 months. If anyone wants to take a look at the event list, here's a link to the next festival, which is 4th anniversary. So here's the first banner of 4th anniversary. It has Tidus's Awakening on it. What Awakenings are kind of themed at the moment. They're all pretty similar. In that it's damage, obviously. An element. This isn't common, but this is just what Tidus's Awakening does. I'll talk about like the common element of Awakenings at the moment. And water, Awakened Sharpshooter. Damage cap, break 20k. And this is one of the main common points of Awakenings, is they get a damage cap break on them. So all of Tidus's attacks after he uses this for 15 seconds can break the damage cap to 20,000 instead of being limited to 10,000. That right there is already pretty awesome, because everyone knows how good Cloud is with his ability to break the cap. So it increases everyone's damage potential almost completely by ×2. And it has a shot. So first, let's look at Awakened Sharpshooter. This is another common element of Awakenings, is that they have dual cast Sharpshooter. So it's a 100% chance of dual cast. It's not ability double. But if it was ability double, it still wouldn't matter. Sharpshooter abilities do not consume uses. That's why ability double would not matter. You get a little Bosium strip for infinite uses on all of your abilities. So you just click an ability and you cast it twice, and that no abilities used. And Sharpshooter rank boost. You may think that these two conflict with each other, and I originally thought so. As well, and that they certainly do conflict with each other. But the reason for both of these being together, and the fact that you want high ranks, but you don't want all the uses from those ranks, is that it makes these Awakenings new player proof. So Awakenings are still good for new players who are unable to hone the crap out of all of their stuff. So they can buy a 6-star ability with a, an R1 and still have it be pretty damn awesome for them with an Awakening. But for veteran players with, like a mature crystal stash or a mature arsenal of 6-star abilities, we don't care as much about doesn't consume uses, but the rank boost comes into play. The rank boost is... depending on the rank that it is, it gains 5%, 10, 15, 20, or 30% increased damage at rank 5. So you're gaining N water, the ability to damage cap break to 20,000, dual cast Sharpshooter, and Sharpshooter rank boost. Already, without this last one, this is just ridiculously powerful. In Tidus's hands, this means some incredible things, because Sapphire Bullet is such a powerful ability. The ability to end water and Sharpshooter rank boost it. Yeah, he's probably going to cap it R3 or R4. I mean, Sapphire Bullet is an insane ability. On the Awakening, yes, Dragon, that's what Sharpshooter rank boost is. It's not innate on the ability. This is already insane. And then every 3 Sharpshooter abilities he does, he's doing 100,000 damage. Just for free. And he can also 35% chance to dual cast water abilities because his Legend Dive, which also benefits from End Water, damage cap break 20,000, sharpshooter rank boost, which means Titus is going to do 200,000 damage a turn. Base. Because that's 2 Sapphire bullets. That's 10 hits that can damage cap break to 20k. So 200,000 damage. And if he dual casts, 300,000 damage. And every 3 turns, and 100,000 damage more. Yeah, Awakenings are hype. They're really, really hype. And that's why I say make sure that you hold these banners in this current festival to a very, very high standard. Because the game changes in 3 months. And things that seem like they're powerful now aren't going to seem all that powerful anymore in the face of these new relics. And it's not like the stuff that's matched up with these Awakenings are bad. If you want to skip this fest, I'm not going to say that it's a bad idea. But there's a lot of people that shouldn't, because there's a lot of benefits to still gaining power now. I don't want to say that it's the best idea to skip the fest. Because being able to defeat Magicites, being able to defeat Torments is still a valuable thing for us to have now. Because I think one of the best ways that we can improve our accounts outside of the gacha is to defeat Magicites, level Magicites, inherit to Magicites, and use them during fights for the passive effects. I think they're a huge boon to parties. So I don't want to make people think that it's a good idea to just tank your account and not defeat anything until then. But if you feel like that you can get clears in the Magicites, I wouldn't. There's no reason to chase sub-30s when you could just save your resources and pull for the next phase of the game instead here. Better relic pools. When the realm banners refresh, they will refresh the cutoff point as well. So, like I was saying, it's not like the banners that the Awakenings are on are bad. It's not like this is a crapshoot. If I don't get an Awakening, I lose. Celeste's Ice Chain, Celeste's USB 2, Vanille's USB 3, Shadow USB 2, Laguna USB 2. All of this stuff is really good. Machinist ability double for Laguna, by the way. Because he wasn't awesome enough as it is. And this is only what I consider the second best banner of the festival. The first is almost unanimous is Banner 3, because that has 2 Awakenings on it, and a lot of powerful stuff to go with it. And the 2 Awakenings belong to 2 of the most just prolific characters in the game, in Terra and Bards. And not only are they powerful in their element, well, here's the thing the naysayers just need to shut up about is, who cares? Who cares if they change the banner? What are they gonna do? They're gonna shuffle this festival around? What are they gonna do? They're gonna put Bartz's Arcane with Kane's Arcane instead? There aren't any bad banners in this festival. If they shuffle these banners, it just makes 5 different incredible banners. It's fine if they screw these up, because they can't. Now watch, they find a way to give one banner no Awakenings. Well, besides the 5th banner. But I don't see this banner being broken up. It's the chain banner, has 6 chains on it. But I just expect to see 6 chains. It's really hard to screw up a banner with 6 chains. They're all Generation 2 or Realm chains. But Zidane's Awakening, yeah, There's just too much strength in this festival for them to mess it up. Right, yeah, Banner 5 has no awakenings. That's okay, because chains are pretty good with awakenings. Any last thoughts on Banner 1? I do like Realm Chains. They're really good in the Torments. And they're good outside as well if you can assemble a party made for them. Like the Final Fantasy VIII Realm Chain is pretty good because not only is that good in the Torment, but it's probably good versus Sildra as well because of Squall and Laguna. Realms with